it's Yuri Kasdorp here from Oracle Red Bull Racing, and we are back for Season 3 on iRacing with some more track guides. For the first one, we are back here at, actually not back, at a new track, Fuji this time. And we're driving this in the LMP2 for ESS, so it's the first time the LMP2 goes to Fuji. Let's have a look at the new track and see how it rides on iRacing, shall we? So we're here in the last corner, about to start our lap. Gonna look for a wide entry to the last corner to set up a good start of the lap, especially in qualifying. I'm now running race setup on the very long straight. Very important to get a good exit out of here. It'll be interesting to see if people are gonna run low downforce as well. I think high downforce is slightly faster, so 2 front dive planes. Turn 1, we're gonna spot the 100 marker. We're gonna use that as a brake marker, maybe just before even. Turn 1, try to keep our speed up. For 2, we're gonna aim for the bullet on the inside. And try to avoid the big bump on the curb on the right there. Here we're gonna try to keep it as tight as we can. Bring it over all the way to the right. And get on throttle early here. Because we don't have the revs, you can go on throttle really early. If you go down to first gear, the car gets too unstable, I think. Hard to spot the braking point here. Very slow section. And it's all about getting a good exit from here. Very easy to lose the rear. Now we come into the by far most tricky section of the track. Try to use small inputs on the pedals to make sure the rear stays with us. The last corner, and try to get a good exit from here. There we completed the lap around the Fuji circuit that's new in iRacing. Let's have a closer look in the analysis. So here we are taking a deeper look at the lap. Turn 1, we want to get our car straightened up next to the white line to try to brake in a straight line as much as possible. Look for that 100 sign or the curb, you can choose either one. And we want to brake just before that. So let's try to brake just before we hit that. Maybe with slightly different weather conditions or a headwind, you can start braking a lot later. These are the VRS conditions that we're using now. Try to brake in a straight line as much as possible for turn 1. Get the car leaned in. Focus on the exit again. We can use a lot of the track on the outside here. Run for turn 2, I like to use the curb on the right. So try to get 2 wheels on the curb. As close to the grass as you dare. But start looking at the apex for turn 2 while you're on this. So at this point here, I want to start looking at the apex already. And we want to just about miss that bullet there on the inside. So we want to aggressively at the end touch the brakes. Look at the bullet and try to just about miss that bullet. And on the exit here, you can take quite a bit of the exit curb here, but the car starts to bounce a bit, I found. So I try to avoid going over the end of the curb here where there's this bump. I try to be on the left side before we get there. So try to carry the speed, try to use as much as you can on the runoff, but don't go too far over the bump on the right side, or even though it doesn't give you an off track, it slows you down. Then we get to, I think, the most important corner of the track. Turn 3, and in this corner it's very easy to overdo the fronts. So you need to be very careful of not over pushing the fronts, because this will overheat the left front tire a lot. So we want to come in, keep it tight, but try to keep the weight on the front. And the way we do that is try to brake a bit in the middle of the corner or even lift a bit, and be careful going back into the power. So we want to have small inputs here in the middle of the corner, even double pedaling a bit to try to keep that weight on the front end. Then we want to bring it over to the right again. You want to get to the curb here for the corner entry as much as you can. Brake in a straight line. And then try to get towards the apex. And it's almost impossible here, I found, to shift down to first gear. So we're stuck in second gear, but we're kind of too slow for second gear for the revs to pick up. So we get into the corner here and then we're too slow. But it does mean that we can quite early go into the power and wait for the engine to pick up and for the revs to pick up to be ready on the exit when we actually want the traction. So we can go on throttle really early, keep turning, and once we actually get the torque from the engine in the higher revs, then we've got the traction for it at the corner exit. Again, you can take quite a bit of curb on the right. I'm not sure if it's worth it. Then we get to the very slow chicane here, and it's really hard to spot your braking point. I'll go to the cockpit for this. There's nothing really on the outside here where you normally want to look as a reference for your braking point. So what I do, the best thing I found is use this entry road here and use that as a reference, and I'm braking when I'm about at the end of this entry road on the right side. But again, it's very tricky to spot anything on the left here where you would normally want to look at your braking point. So you're coming in here and I'm looking out to the right of my monitor and even to my right monitor to even see a braking point. If you're on a single monitor or different FOV, maybe you can use the Dunlop sign here or the 50 sign and brake quite a bit before that. But it's very tricky here because you don't have any references of braking point for the corner, and it's a heavy braking zone, so the braking point is really important to get into the chicane here. So again, what I use is this entry road here, but it's very tricky to find anything else here, I found. Then again, braking in a straight line, and there's a very tricky section here where on corner exit, so from this middle corner to this exit corner here, the rear wants to step out quite easy. So I try to stay quite far to the right on entry here, and then be steady here on the throttle, and then slowly start going on throttle without trying to lose the rear. So you need to be very patient on the throttle here and go in a straight line. I'll show it quickly from the onboard as well. So you want to get a good entry to this left-hander, and then slowly start going into the throttle. As you can see, still not even full throttle here, but try to keep that rear in check, and the rear is going to want to step out on you, and then once we hit that DC, we're going to lose a lot of time. Then we get into sector 3, and this is by far the trickiest section of the track, or almost any track. The LMP2 is very, very tricky here. The rear doesn't quite want to stick like you want it to, and we have to do a lot of inputs in the middle of the corner where the rear doesn't want to stick, and any of those inputs is going to upset the rear. So I'll take you over what I try to do to combat this. First, for the first right-hander, I try to be completely on the left here on the curb, try to maximize my entry as much as possible, get close towards the bollard here, even use a bit of the green on the inside curb, and try to apex quite early. So if you look from the inside cam, we try to apex quite early, and then take the exit as much as possible in the straight line, even a bit further towards the inside here. I got a bit of understeer on the exit here. You want to straighten out this as much as possible, because if you hit these anti-cuts here, it really upsets the car and it might even give you damage. Then what I try to use for the next left-hander, it's a very tricky entry because we're turning while we're braking. And I try to brake as much in the straight line as possible as you can. You can't really brake much in the straight line, but at least get the corner radius higher and then brake towards the outside, and then have very low inputs in the middle of the corner to try to keep that rear settled, and then very slowly start going throttle again and kind of make a V out of the corner. I'll show you what I mean with that. So I try to brake as much as I can to the outside here. Then I get to the middle of the corner. I try to do all of my turning on the outside, and then very slowly start getting towards the throttle. And as you can see, I try to square the corner up quite a lot. So have a look at it from the outside cam. That means I'm from the inside here. When I'm trying to brake, I brake all the way to the outside. And then from here, I want to do most of my turning, and then slowly start getting onto the power here already. So I'm trying to square the corner up, and I don't want to turn much from this bollard anymore. As you can see, I've almost got my car lined up with the exit at this bollard already. And that's just going to help me getting the traction out of the corner and not get stuck on these outside anti-cuts here that we have here as well. Then the last corner is a careful balance between not losing too much on the entry and still getting a good exit out of the last corner for the very long back straight. So what we want to do here when there's nobody behind you is take a bit of a wider entry. When there's someone behind you, it will be rough because they can just put the nose into the last corner, sacrifice their corner exit to get alongside you on corner entry, maybe even ahead, and then your corner exit will be ruined as well. So when there's someone behind you, maybe take a bit of a tighter line, but then again, you're gonna have a bit of worse exit and maybe have some problems into turn one. Without anyone behind you, I take a bit of a wider line, try to again brake as much in a straight line as I can, and then very low inputs in the middle of the corner. So I keep tiny bit of brake, tiny bit of throttle until we get to the apex here, and I try to get the car lined up, fired up, get close to these anti-cuts on the exit again without hitting them, and then we only have the run to the line left. Very long run to the line, so in qualifying as well, focus on that exit out of the corner. Then you get to the start finish line, and that's a lap around Fuji, the new track in iRacing, and the LMP2 car. So there we go, nice lap guide of the brand new track in iRacing, Fuji Raceway. I recommend trying this combo. Again, it's the ESS combo of week 2. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to watch more of these track guides, and see you guys next week.